Hey guys, it's April 16th, 2013, and the Mint has just updated their numbers. This first little section was actually recorded last night. 2 garbage cans exploded in Boston this afternoon. Dozens of people were injured and 3 were killed. The mainstream media reports Dow falls 266 points after Boston explosions. The explosions began at 2:50 p.m., which is about 1 hour before the stock exchange closed. The Dow indeed fell 266 points that day, but in the last hour only lost a small portion of that. Gold had a similarly brutal fall today, but we didn't see this. Instead, we saw this. Next morning update. Stocks are back to their all-time highs again. Woohoo! We are saved! Here's the hourly chart for silver, and this is showing a very obvious dead cat bounce. Very classic looking dead cat bounce, almost like it's being painted on there. So if this comes down for another retest of 22, that'll probably be taken out. Technically speaking, of course, I don't believe that the free market is in control of this at all. Well, it's not, 3 or 4 men sitting in a room deciding what the price is and then putting it into the computer and that appears on the screen. But it's closer to that than a free market, let's just put it that way. There's an interesting discussion on gold manipulation on Mike Maloney's channel today. I'll link to that video below. The Bitcoin disaster. Yeah, we had a crash from 266 down to, 55 or something. They had to halt trading on the major exchange. So there's multiple exchanges, but only one major one. And I think that's part of the problem, really, with the infrastructure behind this whole currency. I think the currency still is sound, but I think that the whole infrastructure, you can call it, the way that people are managing it, the exchanges, that kind of thing, that's all very flawed and very hackable. And the night before it crashed, I saw somebody meddling with the numbers, and I did get some footage of that. I might post it at some time, but I saw, you can watch all the trades down below. I saw the trades going by, and somebody was gaming it for sure. They were walking the price up and down and then making a big sale once they walked the price down, and it would pop the price back up, and then they'd use part of the proceeds to walk it back down again. I was watching it live. So I think somebody managed to figure out how to game it, and that was what precipitated the sell-off. But there's a lot of conspiracy theories out there. I don't even know which ones are right. But it doesn't really matter. The currency has suffered a major blow to confidence, and we'll just have to see what happens in the future. I think there are some people buying up cheap right now, but hey, it can come down a lot further, 65 bucks. And as for that $1,000 call, yeah, it still can certainly do that. It's just a matter of whether or not it can get convertibility into other currencies, and whether it can get confidence. If there's confidence in a currency, then its market share will go up. People will invest in it and park their value there. But anyhow, I don't want to say too much more about Bitcoin for now. I'll keep an eye on it, and it's still an ongoing learning opportunity for sure. I got a message from Paper Money 54 who said that he went to his local coin store and they had a silver maple there. It was for $30, and he said, if spot is 23, then why do I have to pay $30 for a maple? And why are, essentially why are premiums so high when the silver spot price drops? Well, it's a good time to talk about that, I guess. Imagine you're a business owner. It doesn't matter in what, you're exchanging one thing for another, as businesses tend to do, and you have huge sales, massive sales, sometimes, 15-20%, which in a business where you're making a margin of maybe 1% on everything, a 15% move in either direction can completely wipe you out. So you have these 15 or 20% moves that can happen in a matter of hours. To top it all off, you have no warning that this is coming. Someone else makes your sales happen at your business. You have a sale all of a sudden, and your customers come rushing in to buy. But you didn't want to have a sale that day. So that is, that is why the premiums are there, because these people would be wiped out if they sold the silver at that price. What you have to do in a market like silver is when there's a huge drop like that, if you have the stomach for it, you have to wait and see if that price holds. If that price holds, then the market can kind of stabilize and equalize, and all the people who bought at certain prices and stuff will either be wiped out and disappear, or they'll recover and stay in the market, and then you'll be able to get some supply coming back in. But right now there's really no supply. I'll attach a video down below from someone else who lives in here in Vancouver. SilverMonsterBalls, nice avatar by the way on your account there. But he's got a video up where he actually went into some places yesterday and they were closed. Either closed or just turned him away. They were only buying at that price. They weren't selling at that price. And these are the big guys, like Border Gold, and I imagine Vancouver Currency and Bullion Exchange as well. So these, these big bullion companies just don't have any product right now, or they say they don't have any product right now. So other people who are even further down the chain, like myself, who just, I have to buy at retail price, and then I just add my markup for, the costs of business, and that's the price. But there's very little profit to be made in this bullion market. So when you ask, why are the premiums that way, it's because the market hasn't had a chance to equalize. That's just what happens after a huge drop like that. A business doesn't expect to have a sale of that magnitude, especially to have someone else in charge of when they have that sale. You have no choice in this business when someone else can decide, oh, well, the chart's going to go down $100 on gold in 1 hour. And, when you're dealing with very tiny margins, there's no room for those kind of sales. So that's what happens. Supply and demand is not in charge of the market, although it should be for a physical market especially. But, the paper manipulation is just massive. And how do you compete with that? Supply and demand is really trying to compete with that, but in the physical market it's really supply and demand that it comes down to. If there's no metal on the market, then it just can't go for those prices, and that's what we're seeing right now. But if it stays down low, then I expect that the availability will creep back in and you will be able to buy at these prices. Right now on a lot of websites we're seeing this, or this, or this, and plenty of this. Need a refill? One advantage of this drop in silver spot price, it has allowed me to pick up some more sativas and indicas from libertyleaf.com. As a reminder, if you're an American buyer looking for these 2 rounds, they are available on libertyleaf.com. That's the only place you can get them in the US. And outside of the US, that is in Canada and overseas, the only place you can get them is on CanadianSilverBullion.com. But yeah, I just picked up a few tubes of these for my website. The inventory has been updated and I see a couple have already sold today. So those are up. You're on notice if you're looking for those. They don't usually last very long. I just keep them in stock until they run out and then make another order later on. But they are on their way to me and they'll be shipping out as soon as they get here, which is probably going to be in the next couple days. So that pullback has at least allowed me to get a really nice price on these, and I'm passing on that savings to my buyers. 420, that is April the 20th, is of course coming up this weekend. It's on a Saturday and it's going to be the biggest protest slash rally slash smoke up that has ever happened in Vancouver, for sure. It's the first time it's been on a Saturday for a long time. I'm hoping the weather's going to be decent. Last year was insane.
On the afternoon, sit back and blaze. Forget the nation of corrupted ways. Corrupt get paid, poor stay broke. Twisted up, spark that resource and oil. Take away the rich while the force is spoiled. The world elite run it all. Tell me, can you answer this? Research the history for the truth of cannabis. Off with his head, off with his head, off with his head, off with his head. That's what we think of Stephen Harper and his drug laws.
I'm Jody Emery. Mark Emery is my husband. This event began here in Vancouver in the 90s and now it goes all over the world.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Happy birthday! When I say legalize, you say hell yeah! Ready? Legalize! Alright, legalize! Alright, we say that legalize! Yes, legalize!
And with the legalization efforts that are going on in Washington, Colorado, and many other states and countries as well, this is going to be huge this year. And I think the end of prohibition is coming for cannabis. The tide is turning, public awareness is changing, and people realize, hey, we were lied to. We've been lied to since the early 1900s, not just about banking and silver and gold, but about a lot of things. And one of the things is that cannabis is actually one of the most useful and beneficial plants that there is, period. Better than trees, better than paper, better than a lot of things in a lot of ways. So, you know, the tide is turning, and I think it's coming this year probably. It's changing within this next year or next couple of years. I'm really against the whole legalization idea. I don't want it legalized. All that means is the government gets more control and more regulation and more taxes. That's not it. I'm for liberty. I don't think that people ask permission from their governments if they want to use a plant. And I'm for the end of prohibition. I think it should be treated like any other plant. I don't think it should be sold to kids. But other than that, the price should come way, way down as the cost of prohibition can go away. The war on drugs has just been a complete failure. It has ruined so many millions of lives, literally millions of lives, millions of people in jail for this plant, growing, selling, distributing, dealing, using, whatever. It's not a sin, it's not immoral, and people have realized that and people have figured that out, and it's now going to be used as a medicine, a food, a textile, and an important drug in a lot of different people's lives. So this is just going to be an incredible weekend, and I'm going to be joined there by Smokey the Bear, a friend of mine, who's going to be in town for the event, and it should be an awesome good time. I'm going to bring my camera along and see what footage I can get. If I get anything interesting, I'll definitely post it on the channel. The links for these rounds are down below. So yeah, the Mint did update their numbers today finally. I think it was 9 days since the last time, 8 or 9 days. Before that, I've been watching it since the beginning of the year, really when the whole story about Eagle supply crashing and demand surging happened. And it's usually every 2 to 3 days, so I don't know. They're doing it every 7 to 9 days now, it seems. That's a good way to make this number seem lower than it is if you don't update it very often. Although it was just updated right now, so we can have a little calculation here. 2.215 million so far, and multiply by the number of days in the month and divide by the number of days that have passed. That's 16. And we get 4.1, so it's going to be a 4 million Eagles month in April. And as you recall, the all-time record April was 2011 when we hit $50 on the chart, and that was 2.8 million. So we're already at 2.2 this April, and the month's only half over. Now, of course, as you remember, there was 812,000 Eagles that appeared on April 1st's numbers, which actually were from March. So we could calculate it out either way. If we calculate it out that way, we have to minus that from 2.215. Was it 812? You get 1.4 as the actual numbers so far this April when you take that out, and then multiply by 30 and divide by 16. And you get 2.63. So if you do it that way, we are on par for a record or almost record April. And if you do it the other way, then we are on par for a incredible record April. So no matter which way it is, we're going to have a record January through April. The first third of the year is going to be a record for sales no matter what. And it looks like sales for 2013 are going to be an all-time record this year as well, regardless of the fact that the price has just absolutely plummeted. I put together a couple of charts which might help to explain this a little bit more. This is demand of Silver Eagles from January, February, March, and April. And this is the all-time demand. Of course, the January number is always really high. It's just very high demand for various reasons in January, and that is because, you know, certain hedge funds or whatever that invest in bullion and stuff will buy on the January. The new issue of an Eagle comes out, so people want that new issue, and that's why its sales are high in January, that kind of thing. So just ignore that fact that it's January is always skewed. But these are the record Januaries, Februaries, Marches, and Aprils. This is the highest of each year, and in most cases that was 2011, but I think one or two of the numbers come from a different year as well. But anyhow, we can then go and overlay on top the 2013 in two different types of purple. This darker purple here is the official numbers, of course using projected April numbers, just using their data as they presented on their site. And as you can see here, it was just shy of the record. Well, you can't maybe tell really, but as we worked out in the last video, it was 0.02 million off of being a record because of the way they reported it. Of course, that makes it look like April's going to be an insanely record month, double the best April that they've ever had. Really, it's going to be twice as good as the best ever April. Okay, going by the official numbers, but if you do the adjusted numbers as we did in my last video, it diverges here. For March, it was a record, and for April, looks like it might not be a record, but we haven't seen all of April yet. I hear they've already suspended sales in April. There's a lot of websites posting that information. I can't find it confirmed anywhere that the Mint is suspending sales. I think they're probably at least rationing or allocating them, but they don't really announce these things, and the sources that are talking about this online I haven't found to be reliable ones. So if anyone knows for sure if the US Mint has suspended Eagle sales again, that would be really valuable information to know, because it affects this, the data that we've been following. But anyhow, there you have it, the all-time high in yellow, and then the 2013 numbers so far in purple. No matter how you slice it, we're definitely higher demand than we've ever been before. That's about it for this video today, but I will leave you with a shot of some weather that I saw yesterday. Darn good thing my tomato seedlings are still in the greenhouse at Grandma's, and a shot of those tomato seedlings at Grandma's. Talk to you soon. April the 14th today in Grandma's greenhouse. Tomato seedlings looking pretty good. Some of them are starting to develop some secondary leaves. These are the Black Prince cherry tomatoes.